And I feel like everyone wants more love in their life. Everyone deserves more love in their life. And when people feel loved and nourished and respected and honored, they become the best versions of themselves.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Goddess Hangs.
Episode 57. Woo! You know what that means? We've made it. No, every week
we're like, another number one higher. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been 57 episodes. Shall we reminisce as we go? Just kidding.
Don't touch the mic.
Sorry. Just want to... I'm get excited.
Grip this episode for dear life because it's so good.
It is. We had a really inspiring, really fun, really just great interview with Carine Camara. She is a spiritual love coach, a personal stylist, an acupuncture healer. She is incredible. We have an amazing conversation around self-love. My favorite was talking about fashion and how spiritual that can be. Lots of juicy stuff in this episode.
She is so amazing. We loved talking to Carine. It was just a beautifully uplifting experience. And I just loved the emphasis on gratitude, on shopping for and from your highest self, tapping into your intuition. Just a very magical hour is ahead.
Yes. And before we pass you along to this inspiring, magical interview, well, first of all, I'm Sadie.
Oh, and I'm Juliet.
Obviously, we always forget to introduce ourselves. It never goes smoothly, but we created this podcast to make the world of mindset, magic, manifestation, and just the whole spiritual world more relatable.
And so much fun.
Woo!
Woo!
Juliet, do I hear an ad break coming?
Burr, 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 burr.
I think today I'd like to start with my Out Charmed and Goddess Hangs jewelry collab because I'm rocking it all today. And
Me
I'm
too.
Feeling really fucking cute. Speaking of adorning yourself as an act of self-love, love
no
yourself
better way
today by purchasing your Out Charmed Goddess Hangs jewelry collection
lab.
We're both wearing our BFF charm bracelet.
Let me brag on this bracelet for a second.
Yeah.
I am not a big bracelet person because they're heavy. They irritate my wrist. I'm a sensitive little moon child. This is the most beautiful, lightweight yet strong bracelet. The material that all of these jewelry pieces are made of is a lightweight stainless steel gold. So you can actually enjoy it for years and years to come. It will not tarnish. No. I mean, don't take it into the ocean as a precaution, but it's going to look good for a very long time. It's not going to tarnish like silver after 10 minutes. So it's so beautiful. And all these charms are picked really specifically with different little meanings and messages in mind. Like the moon is for intuition.
I was like,
we've been through this.
I forgot. I panicked. And my eyes got big. I was like, because we are children of the moon.
We will not play this game anymore.
The butterfly is for transformation. The star is for being the star of your life. The many stars is us all being stars together.
It's like all your little spirit guides.
Yeah. Your spirit guides. Sorry, I'm just making
And the
things up.
sparkle is because it's cute.
Yes. It's another star. It's pretty star heavy, but hey, we're all stars here. It is so freaking cute. I always get compliments on it.
I know, I do too.
And we have I was going to say the opposite. It's Juliet the Goddess, not Sadie the Goddess. It's the Juliet the Goddess necklace and Sadie the Witch necklace.
You know what? Let's insert a photo right here. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Whoa.
In love.
We both enjoy layering them both together. I have mine now layered with some new necklaces I got that were actually my mom's that I found recently when I was
love
home
that
for Christmas.
I love the thick chain.
The thick one. Okay, I have a fun story to tell you.
Okay.
So it had the tiniest tag on it that said a word, And you know, we worked at the jewelry shop that you get those little things and it'll say like what carat it is on it or what it is. And it was so small. I was trying to figure out what it said, and I was going to go to a jewelry store to have them look at it. But I could kind of tell what it said. So I just kept typing stuff into Google until it came up. And I think now I can't remember. I think it's Tefari or Tiffany or something.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of it?
That sounds extremely familiar.
So it's this jewelry that was super popular in the 80s, and it's not gold, but they had their own specific way they made, you know, imitation gold that looks really beautiful. And it was this big trendy thing. It lasts a really long time, clearly, because I have my mother's necklace on right now and it's not tarnished or anything. And it's like a collector's item that people are searching out. So I actually found this exact necklace on like Etsy and eBay of people like reselling it. It wasn't like for a crazy amount or anything, but I was like, how cool. I have this like collector's item.
And that it layers so beautifully with our pieces.
Yeah, right in between the two, when I have the one on shortest and one on longest. And then this other just really delicate long chain that was my mom's. And I'm not sure if this is gold or not. It's doesn't appear to have any tarnishing, so I might take
from
this one
here.
and
It looks gold.
Yeah, so so I have like all the different lengths, and I feel like I'm complete now with my necklace.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And our necklaces and the ring and the bracelet, this stainless steel gold is really something special. I'd never even heard of it. It's amazing because it's sustainable. There's all these good things about it, but it looks really good with other types of metals. Like you can wear it with 14, 18 karat gold, and it doesn't look like costume jewelry. It doesn't look cheap. It looks really good.
Yeah, because I always wear my emerald that is set in 18 karat gold. So whenever I put on like plated jewelry or different like fake kind of imitation gold, a lot of it is really obvious next to it, where it like looks good without something real next to it. But so it's been hard to stack with like more affordable, I don't like saying affordable or expensive, but more aligned price points, I guess I could say. But these look beautiful.
It's a gorgeous look. It's a gorgeous look. And it just feels so fitting that we're talking so in depth about our beautiful jewelry today, because that really is what this episode is about, like putting clothing in pieces and adorning yourself with things that make you feel really good. And I have to tell you, when I walk around with my Juliet the Goddess necklace, first of all, I'm like floored that it's named after me. But when I wear this whole collection and Sadie the Witch and everything, I feel better. Like I have a better day. I feel more confident. I feel more like witchy and connected and intuitive. And so it's really fun to add these pieces, and that we wear them with our other stuff that we love. That's so fun.
The other day in the Patreon, someone said something about like, oh, my Sadie the Witch necklace. And I was like, oh, they said the whole thing, not just like my witch necklace, you know? And I was like, wow, it really is Sadie the Witch.
I know, I saw that. Now it's official. Now you're really an official witch.
It felt really good. We also have really fun witch and goddess hats. If you're not a jewelry goddess, we have...
Oh, let's put a photo of the hat. We haven't done inserts in a minute. Photo of the hats here.
Wow.
So many choices.
You could get white or pink or black.
It could say goddess or witch. And on the back, it's first of all, it's all embroidered. So
yeah, it's
like
really, really good.
Fabulous. And on the back, it says goddess hangs.
Yes, they're really cute. I wear my witch hat almost every single day, actually. I don't know if y'all noticed that on my Instagram stories, but I always have it on.
I know. I wear my goddess hat. I've worn my goddess hat out a couple times, and people will turn their heads. Like, I don't know if they think I'm somebody else, or if it's just like seeing a woman wearing a goddess hat is like, who is that?
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. It's kind of fun.
I love it. Craig always teases me, but I love that he says it. Like, whenever I have my hat pulled down low, he's like, babe, you look so famous. Like, I'm trying to hide, you know? But I have found, like, not in Redondo Beach so much, but more like in West Hollywood, or like being in like Santa Monica or something, like if have your hat pulled down low, people will kind of double take you to make sure they're not missing out on someone that's like famous and trying to sort of be incognito. If it's funny, or at least I don't know, I found that happens.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too with hats.
It's funny, or like especially if you put the sunglasses on too. People are like, do I need to be concerned by that person? And I'm like, Yeah, I am Sadie Olson.
Sadie the Witch.
Sadie the Witch. Please, no photos. Just kidding. Take all the photos of me.
So we'll include a link in the description on where you can pick up the beautiful Out Charmed and Goddess Hang collaboration collection, our jewelry line, which we are just so in love with. So in love. It's such a freaking dream come true. So jewelry line, the coolest hats ever, truly. And I don't even wear hats, and now I wear this hat all the time. And then, Intuitive Magic Oracle Deck.
Do you want to tap into your intuition on a more regular basis?
Throw that magic 8-ball in the trash.
It's time you got yourself an Intuitive Magic Oracle Deck.
It'll say more than just the magic 8-ball words. No, I don't know why I'm stuck on that.
Are you sick of yes, no, or maybe later, or ask again later?
What you need is the otter of laughter, the unicorn of divine guidance,
the tiger of divine confidence,
the hourglass of divine timing,
and so much more.
The squirrel of... No,
there's no
we
squirrel,
don't have a squirrel.
Unfortunately. Next one will definitely have a squirrel. Can't believe we missed that.
I know.
There'll be a squirrel, a bunny,
a bunny,
an animatronic cat. Spoiler alert, we're going to meet somebody new next episode.
Next week you get to meet my new cat.
Next episode.
And it's a robot.
Sparkle is going to be a special guest, and let's wear our hats.
We'll wear our hats. We'll bring Sparkle. I was thinking maybe I would also bring Kirsten for some 90s
I should ask my dad
memories.
to find that and mail it to me.
And then I'm going to dig through my closet, and if there's anything else kind of nostalgic, we'll see if we had the same types of things. That could be a fun, like, throwback inner child episode.
I don't have any of my kids' stuff here, but you got it covered.
We'll chat about it.
I have a question for all of you listening. Please comment. Were you terrified that Furbies were possessed by demons? Because that was a really real thing in my childhood. I got gifted one once, and I was like, absolutely not.
Okay.
I returned it.
So my mom did not let me have one because you couldn't turn it off.
Because she knew that they were possessed by
She's
demons.
like, I'm not getting you a toy that we can't turn off.
They didn't turn off. That's why they were so scared. I remember sleeping over at my cousin's and it like going off in the middle of the night or something, and I was like, absolutely not. That was terrifying.
Yeah, I think you'd have to like put it in the dark and hope it went to sleep. Like it was, maybe that's something that we can find and bring on the show.
A Furby. Just every once in a while we're like, ah! I to this day am just absolutely terrified by Furbies. I don't know.
And then it would repeat back multiple things you said to it, right? I don't know how it worked. I just know that my friend had one, I wanted one, and my mom said, we are not getting you a toy that cannot turn off. Freaked her out.
My cousins had one and they terrified me, and then I got gifted one and I was like, we're taking this back.
I think my friend Sydney had one, and it just started saying very weird things in the middle of the night, and the mom like threw it in the trash.
Exactly. Oh, I gotta chill. I was like, oh.
She's like, yep,
so
nope, we are not. This is a portal to another dimension.
Yeah.
Disguised as a children's toy. Goodbye.
Like if like the Chucky movie was real or something, where how like, well, that's a single doll, but I feel like there's some movie, or otherwise I just came up with a brilliant movie where some evil company is trying to take over children's minds. They sell you a Furby. It's absolutely a Furby.
Oh.
That's my take. That's my take. What do you guys think about Furbies out there? Let us know.
Did you have one? Share your crazy Furby stories.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If there's a lot of them, maybe we'll read them next podcast.
The Furby of friendship. No, there's not a Furby card on the Intuitive Magic Oracle deck.
There will never be a Furby card.
Nothing creepy there. All good vibes, all positivity, all good guidance. We're seeing so many of you post about it in your stories and tagging us, and you're doing your daily card pulls or your readings, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting. So grab yours today.
And the final thing we want to remind you about is our Goddess BFF Patreon. It is the most inspiring, wonderful, supportive, magical, funny, just greatest group I've ever had the honor of being a part of. You hear us say it every week, but it's just surreal that we manifested this community. It's really special, and we would love to have you come be a part of it.
you are going to have the time of your life. You are going to laugh all day long. You're going to have witchy and spiritual and funny memes sent to you. There will be recipes, and you know what I love? I saw today something like, oh, anybody know how to fix this when this happens, or any suggestions for a powder to put in my smoothies? And everybody comes in so fast with so many amazing recommendations. It is the most instant, amazing level of support in any area of your life that you can get. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And Sadie and I share so much more behind the scenes of our lives and our day-to-day, and we connect with everybody in the group. And it's really not just us like dropping a post and leaving for 3 days and coming back. Like, we'll spend hours sometimes just chatting and having conversations, and we have a little movement is magic chat where we say, oop, did my yoga today, or went to my workout class. Like, we all keep each other accountable, and we're all very supportive. It is a whole community. It is Club Penguin for witches.
Yes.
Or I was
my baby brother was obsessed with Club Penguin.
It's Neopets for witches.
I was gonna say some of our newest chat categories. We won't review them all because you've heard them many times.
There's so many.
Our new ones that I'm loving is the spicy chat. Wink, wink.
The spicy chat.
Very fun. It's sexy stuff. If you didn't get that by the spicy and the wink, wink. It's so fun to like get to know each other on like that kind of level. Like every chat in it it's genuinely best friend connection. Like, we're not just making it sound cute to be BFFs. Like, we're really best friends with all of these women. It's a joy. So I'm loving the spicy chat. That's a newer one. I'm loving the movement is magic. We're holding each other accountable. We're all doing a yoga challenge, and even the goddesses who aren't involved in the yoga challenge are chiming in and saying, well, I did my weightlifting today. Juliet's been going to her Zumba class. So we're still like, it just feels good to have somewhere to come and sort of be like, hey, I did this today and I'm feeling really proud of myself, and everyone else is like, fuck yeah, you did. And it's just such a supportive group, and it's really made a huge difference for me in staying accountable to, we're both making movement a priority this year, and it's made a world of a difference for me. And then my other favorite newer chat is the book club chat. So the goddesses are picking a book to read each month. It's very casual, just to chat about, but also it's just a space where everyone's sharing their favorite books, and it's not just like spiritual witchy books. It's like all across the board, and it's really fun to pop in there when you're like, what should I read next, and sort of scroll through everyone's recommendations. And we're going to be reading along for the 4 Agreements this month, which I'm very excited about. I have not read it yet, but I'm going to.
I've read it a few times.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like such a supportive, and it's crazy to see the growth and expansion in everyone already, including us, including Juliet and I. Ladies are starting businesses, starting new projects, leaving jobs and getting new, better jobs, just like manifesting left and right.
Somebody just bought a house.
Bought a house, all sorts of things. And
Steph bought a house.
Yeah, shout out Steph.
Congratulations to Steph.
It's just really incredible because the group energy behind all of it is just, I'm like, I can't imagine if when I started my business, I of course had Juliet's support, I of course had Craig's support, but I didn't have the same fervor around me as like almost 60 women now being like, oh my God, you're starting that, I can't wait to support you. It's just different than having, I'm just, you guys made a world of a difference.
I don't take this personally,
but I can't imagine both of us when we started the podcast. There's people starting their own podcast projects, different things, having this sort of like community with this intense bond and connection and level of support. Think of like how that would have felt when we started out, because it's really scary to start new things. So
no,
it's just a level of community like no other, and we are so excited to welcome more of you to be a part of it.
I have one last thing to say about it. I was really moved this week, as I am every week, by things that happen. There were a couple pet losses, and somebody's mom was in the hospital, and then somebody else had a client that had an injury, and almost so many goddesses sent a picture saying, oh, I lit a candle for this person and for your pet. And it was just the outpouring of love that these women have for one another and that we have for you. It's unmatched. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this in such a genuine, beautiful way. So,
and the moment there's a new person, they're a part of it.
Yeah.
There's no like warm up or everyone's so excited when a new person joins. Everyone's saying welcome. Everyone's right away saying, you know, just so you know, you don't have to stay caught up with every chat. Just talk as much as you want. Like everyone's explaining the dynamic of the group and making them feel so comfortable and like immediately a part of the group. It's so cool to see to that happen, because it's just, you know, I was like, the bigger this gets, you know, is it going to sort of dilute how special this is? But it hasn't.
No, it's
60
just made it
women.
more
That's
special.
Crazy. That's a lot of people.
I know. So if you feel like you've waited too long or you're too late, know that is simply not true. It is the perfect time.
Yeah.
There is a bandwagon awaiting you. A welcome wagon, I should say.
We're all so excited to meet you. So BFF Patreon, we're ready to welcome you in. And without further ado, let's begin our interview with the beautiful Carine Camara. Oh my gosh, so we're so excited to have Carine Camara here with us today. As we mentioned, she's a spiritual love coach, a personal stylist, and the host of Infinite Love podcast, which I've listened to a few episodes now, and it's super insightful, super inspiring. So I'm so excited to now get to have a conversation with you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So I love how your business in your life is centered around self-love. So I kind of just wanted to begin by understanding like how that became the center and like your purpose in life, to bring more self-love to all of us.
Well, I found in my life that love has been the part of my life that caused me the most pain. So when I was young, like many of us have experienced, I felt like I wasn't loved. I had this, and it wasn't true. My parents loved me and so did my brothers, but I felt like I wasn't loved. So I lived my whole life feeling like I wanted to have that sensation of what unconditional love felt like. And then that just kind of led my whole life and brought me to different things and different experiences. But ultimately, having experienced unconditional love from others and knowing what that feels like and how I was able to heal, I wanted to be able to give that to others. And I feel like everyone wants more love in their life. Everyone deserves more love in their life. And when people feel loved and nourished and respected and honored, they become the best versions of themselves. And so I understood that if I can learn how to love myself, then I could give my love to other people, because we're all one. So me loving myself means I love you and I love people around me. So it's more than just love as a like concept of like, oh, self-love, I'm gonna get my nails done, even though I like getting my nails done. But it's more than just doing these things that are quote unquote self-love. It's more about, for me, about the experience of love, like understanding what that experience does for me and how I could provide that for other people. And that's been my driving force the last few years. And it manifests in many of the different services I offer.
How did you begin that journey? Like what was like your trial and error process? What worked? What didn't work? What really clicked for you?
Well, I was fortunate enough to find mentors and teachers that helped me and coaches that helped me along the path. And I would say the biggest thing that clicked for me was understanding that I wanted to feel good. Right? When you are in love, like we've all fallen in love, right? It's usually like everything's brighter, right? The sun's brighter, like everything's just like pops. It's like that feeling of like, oh my God, life is so amazing. I want that feeling all the time, regardless of if I'm in love or not. And understanding that everyone wants that experience. Like everyone wants to be in love all the time. But most of us fear love because it can cause so much pain. Like we've all experienced heartbreak, and almost everyone universally will say it's not a very pleasant experience. And so for me, my path was like, I wanted to feel good. I want to feel good in my life, and I want other people to feel good. And I want to bring joy and beauty and love into the world, because that's what I surround myself with, because that makes me feel good, and I want other people to feel good. And so it became a driving force, first because I wanted to get out of pain. And then secondly, it was like, well, other people, I want to help other people get out of pain. And how can I do that? So the more I learned to love myself and take care of myself in that way, I was able to offer that to other people as well.
I love that. I love what you said about, when you fall in love and the world's just a little bit brighter, because how beautiful that we can be in love with ourselves and have that accessible to us all the time, because isn't that the purpose of having a life here on this earthly plane? Like, we're not here to suffer and be attached to like these obligations and these shoulds. It's like, no, we're here to be love and do love and have love in our life. And
exactly,
it brings so many beautiful things. Our favorite affirmation that we work with is like, the more I love myself, the more fill in the blank. The more I attract love, the more money I make, the more fun I have, the more I attract, beautiful opportunities and positive experiences. So I love that, this idea of like the base level of starting a spiritual journey or wanting to manifest something really big could just be as simple as learning to love yourself. And I think sometimes we want to skip to like the exciting part of figuring out what it is I'm going to make or create, but I think it's really powerful to start with, how do I feel in here?
Exactly. 100%. Exactly.
Yeah.
Are there certain practices you do on a daily basis or that you advise your clients that really help them like anchor into that feeling of self-love?
Yeah, it depends on each person. So I would say where you feel the most pain around is usually where I have people work on. For instance, if somebody doesn't like how they look physically, right? They feel like they're fat or they're not beautiful, et cetera, I would say have a practice of looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. You're beautiful, naked, right? Like look at yourself naked and start to affirm different parts of your body that you love. Working out every day, having affirmations when you work out. I always feel like it's important to have inspired actions. So whatever you're doing, have it be inspired and have it be intentional to get back to where you want to be in your life. So if your goal is to like, okay, I want to love myself physically, that's a really great starting point. And then you can start creating practices around that. If you're feeling like, I don't feel intelligent, I'm insecure about my ability to do X, Y, and Z, perhaps creating a practice of reading 15 minutes a day, something like that, So it really just depends on where you have the most pain. Like if you're someone that's really, really shy and you feel like I could never meet anyone, I'm always alone, no one likes me, perhaps creating a practice around talking to one person every day, right? Even if it's a cashier at the supermarket, creating a practice of having one conversation, meaningful conversation per day. So it's really just where or do you feel deficient in how you present yourself in the world, and where do you want to pour more love into that? So I think it's important to understand that love is such a healing energy. So wherever you feel like you need help in, that's a place where you can pour more love into it and then create action around that.
I like the going in and shifting it at an identity level. Like, oh, are you really unfriendly because you talk to somebody every day now? Oh, I have to sneeze. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry. Thank you. That's as opposed to like you're saying, just saying affirmations, like going out and practicing it and implementing it and making it a part of who you are now, like at an identity level. Like, oh yeah, I am somebody who is friendly. I am somebody who gives my body the attention I've always wanted to give it. I think that's really profound because a lot of the manifestation world can sometimes get a bad reputation because it's a lot of like visualizing, but they're missing that inspired action piece. So that's really, really beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. For me, I love manifesting, but I feel like it only works when I'm doing something towards it. You have to kind of create you have to create the energy and the momentum. And I think that's everything in life. Like even this idea of love, it's something I've been working on for years, right? This idea of like being in love, falling in love with myself, spreading love. It's a muscle that needs to be built up. So everything that you want to create in this world, you have to practice and make it strong so that you can do it instead of just talking about it.
Absolutely. I loved when I was listening to your podcast, a theme of accepting our imperfections, accepting the things about ourselves that maybe seem like something that could hold us back or bring us down. So I was wondering if you had sort of tips for our listeners about moving towards acceptance and not necessarily self-love meaning that something has to go away or be completely released or can't be a part of you, but the acceptance piece of self-love.
Yeah, it's a hard one to take in, because a lot of times we can't accept certain parts of ourselves because we feel like this is bad or X, Y, and Z. Like, for instance, like my hair took a long time to accept my hair because it requires so much work and I wanted to look a certain way, et cetera, et cetera. And how I was able to start to accept my hair was really the gratitude piece. That's, it's cliche, the gratitude has become a new like word out there in the new agey world. But honestly, it does work. Like, so the fact that I could be like, I have hair in my head. Thank you. Like, like some people lose their hair at a certain point in their life. They go bald, alopecia. There's all sorts of things that could happen. Oh my God, I have hair. I'm in my 40s. I only have 2-3 gray hairs. Isn't that wonderful? You know what I mean? It's
I love that.
You start to create things of gratitude around it. And I think a lot of times we forget that. Like, I fractured my thumb and I had to get surgery and 20 years ago. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe I ever complained about my hands, because at that point I didn't like my hands. I didn't think I had pretty hands. I was like, oh my God, my hands. And when I lost the ability to move my thumb, I became so appreciative of my hands. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you, God, for my hands. I really appreciate that I have all my digits and they all function well. So that's for me where appreciation comes in, when you really become grateful for what you have, because at any moment it could all be taken away. At any moment, God forbid, we can have an accident. There's so many things that could happen that we could lose what we never really appreciated to begin with. And so acceptance for me is really about being grateful for what we have, right? And sometimes, we live in 2022. Some things could be, I don't subscribe to getting surgery and all those things. But on a certain level, if that's going to make you happy, then hey, do what you need to do to make yourself feel good. But do it from the heart. Don't do it because other people say you should, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there are things that can be changed. Like, you want a bigger butt? Do some squats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
inspired action, do your squats.
Exactly. So there's certain things where I feel like you may want, like, I think a lot of acceptance also, the other side of it is jealousy and envy, right? Like, we see a woman, she has a boyfriend, she has a cute butt. I want that. I don't have a butt. I don't have a boyfriend. What's wrong with me? I don't feel loved. Like, you go down this whole negative world of feeling bad about yourself because you don't have something that you see someone else has. So an inspired action of accepting where you are, being like, okay, I'm single. I'm accepting the fact that I'm single, but I can be fabulous. How can I be fabulous so I could attract the person I want to be with? I'm going to do some squats because I want a bigger butt. Like, I'm going to work on myself. So I'm going to date myself so I could be in a situation where I can meet somebody. I'm going to get a makeover. I'm going to get some style advice, get some new clothes, get a facial, get my hair done. I'm going to do everything I can to do the outward work, but as well as the internal work to get to where I want to be. So you can accept yourself and where you're at. And also, if you want to change it, find a way to do it from your heart that feels good to you.
I like how you mentioned this example of the girl with the boyfriend and the big butt, and how I think so many of our minds might go to a place of, oh, that's why I don't get to have love.
Exactly.
Because I don't look like that. I don't look like her. I don't have that feature. And I remember years and years ago, I would tell myself certain things about my body or my face, and I'd be like, oh, well, that's why I don't have the record deal, or that's why and none of it's true.
Absolutely. None of it's true.
None of it's true at all.
But we all go there. Yeah. We all go into that self-deprecating, oh, I don't have this. This is why this and this is going on, where that's our ego just telling us bold-faced lies. And really, that's a time where we can be like, oh, no, I accept my body the way it is. I love my body the way it is. And if there's something I can do to shift it, hey, why don't I do that too? But I'm okay if I never have a big butt. I still love my butt the way it is. You know what I mean? So it's like finding and being grateful for it. Because I feel like there's so many things that can go wrong in life. And just being grateful for what you have makes a big difference.
Well, and sometimes I think we want to like overcomplicate our healing journey. Like we think it needs to be harder than it is. But there's a reason why every spiritual coach and manifestation coach and love coach is telling you to be grateful, because it's so powerful.
Right.
And it's so freaking simple, but we're like, no, I probably need to, I don't know, do something more complicated than that. It can't just be that. And just bringing it down to the baseline of, like, well, I have all of my fingers to work with. I have hair on my head. And then before you know it, you're grateful for beyond that. You're like, you know what? There is actually beauty with what I have. There is actually beauty in the hair that is on my head. So I love just like make it as simple as possible, and you'll get there. It takes time. I'm so interested because you're also a personal stylist, and I think that's so cool to combine that with being like a self-love coach. So I think sometimes we think, we're not supposed to like want to like look good. Aesthetic isn't supposed to be about my self-love journey. I should love myself just as I am. But I loved how you're talking about making changes from the heart, working on your aesthetic from the heart. So I want to learn a little bit more about that from you, of like combining those two parts of yourself. That's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's interesting because I feel like clothing and style can also be an amazing way to hide. Right? When we all feel down and crappy about ourselves, what do? We wear sweats, we wear clothes that are too big. We kind of, we just look sad and depressed, right? Because that's how we feel inside, and that's usually how we reflect. But most of the time when we're feeling good and positive, we don't necessarily take it from that heart space. We usually come from the outside space. We look outside ourselves and be like, oh, what are they wearing? What's the latest trends? Oh, I should do that because that's how everyone else looks. I mean, Instagram, social media is a prime example of, the Instagram girl, I got to look like that because if I look like that, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z. Well, really, if you work on yourself, like falling in love with yourself and seeing where you can shine, where do you radiate? What are the colors that bring out your spirit? What are the clothing that really highlights your silhouette? What are pants that you can wear that actually show that you have a butt?
Maybe that's bigger than you thought.
Exactly.
I'm detecting a theme.
Exactly. Maybe you have the wrong set of pants. You know what I mean? Like there's certain pants that make you look flatter. So there's so many things that you can do to like help you feel good about yourself. And every woman wants to feel like a queen. Everyone wants to feel like a goddess. Everyone wants to feel adorned and beautiful. But that really comes from the inside. And when you're shining your light from your heart, you look more radiant than there's not enough bronzer in the world that can give you that kind of glow. There just isn't. Because that's really coming from the inside. And that's really what I want to help women do is like find that inner light and have it shine through your clothes, through your makeup, your hair, but have it come from the inside. And of course you can accentuate it with the eyelash extensions and the hair colors and all of that, but it's coming from a completely different space than this feeling of lack. Like if you don't love yourself and it's a feeling of lack, there's not enough makeup in the world that can really make you shine. But the other way around, you really start to radiate from a different level. And so that's really what I'm helping women do is find that shine, find the clothing and the silhouettes that work best for your body type.
I love that so much. It's funny, you can see from the beginning of our podcast, because we do video and audio, like us grow and become more comfortable expressing ourselves through the way we dress and do our makeup and do our hair. Like really, we're very like inner child forward, like playful with our styles. But it's been a really cool journey to, the more we've become comfortable with visibility and things like that, the more we've naturally shined our light in that way. So I think there's so much power in how you adorn yourself, as you say. And I love that. Bringing that piece to the coaching that you do together, that's really special.
I think we get a lot of mixed messaging too, where it's like dress to impress, but then also oh, you spent that much money on a dress? Like, do you know what? There's like this contradictory thing happening where we're encouraged to express ourselves through our clothing, but then also sort of shamed for putting money into this, what I feel and what you seem to feel is a really important area of self-expression. So it's very refreshing to hear you talk about this as, oh no, like this is a tool to help you radiate and shine your inner light and like show who you are. Have you noticed that, like with your clients, do you have to sort of get past any limiting beliefs about like what it means to spend money on an outfit or anything like that?
Absolutely, 100%. Because a lot of times when you don't want to like hide, or you're hiding and you don't want to spend too much money, you shop at like Marshall's, and which I love, Ross and Marshalls and all these discount places. You can get some really cool things. But if that's where you shop all the time, and the idea of wearing like a label, gives you anxiety because you're like, oh, I don't want to wear Chanel. Like, I don't like that, even though you could afford it. But it's like, I don't want. You have all these misconceptions, all these judgments, because the fashion industry is really judgmental. It's a judgmental industry, like what not to wear, what you should wear. Everyone's judging you. And again, when you're coming from that outside space, then it's always going to feel weird. But if you're coming from the internal space of like, that Chanel bag makes me feel good. I feel like a queen every time I walk outside with my Chanel bag. Buy the Chanel bag, girl. You can afford it, buy it. Who cares? But then you can also say, I went to Ross and I found a $20 bag and I feel like a queen with my $20 bag. Yeah. Wonderful. Own it. It doesn't really matter what style, what designer you're wearing. It's really about that internal energy that comes out, and it could be expressed in anything that you're wearing. So for me, it's the work about releasing the judgment around what's cool, what's not to wear, what's trendy. All of that stuff's wonderful. It's amazing to look at and to analyze. But if that's where you're coming from, then fashion isn't, and your style isn't coming from your heart. It's coming from an outside source. So really, it's getting back into you. Like, what do you feel about yourself? How do you want to present? And most of the time, when you're past a certain age, trends are not as important because you are buying quality pieces. So you're not going to spend $500 on something trendy when you know you're not going to be able to wear it next season. This is why fast fashion does so well, right? Because you can buy something at H&M and get rid of it.
Right.
Which is also wasteful and not that great for the environment. But that's a totally different conversation. But
another day.
But ultimately, it's about your heart. It always comes down to your heart, how you feel about yourself. How do you want to project your love and your energy into the world? How do you want to feel when you walk outside your house? How do you want to be perceived? All of those things matter more than the actual name brands of whatever you're wearing.
Absolutely. I really think a lot shifted for me when, instead of buying stuff because it was a good deal, I bought stuff because of how it made me feel excited. You know, when you buy something because it's on a $2 rack and then you never wear it, it wasn't a good deal. You wasted $2.
Right.
If I spend $100 on something that I'm excited about and I wear all the time, well, that was a great deal. And you know, when we go out there, we're not really in shopping or whatever it is, we're not really pursuing the material good. We're pursuing the way it makes us feel, the excitement and the and you know, the self-love, or maybe it makes us feel abundant, you know, to have the name, the label or whatever it is. So that shifted a lot for me in my own sort of like abundance mindset and the way I spent my money of like, well, I'm investing in how I feel, because that radiates to all parts of my life in a beautiful way.
And it's a great practice. Like when you're, you know, walking through a store and picking up clothes off a rack, I think it's an awesome place to start of what does my higher self want? What would my higher self choose? And then I imagine as you become more comfortable with that in a shopping mall, you can extend that to other decisions in your life because you've like strengthened that muscle.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I love the Marie Kondo thing. Like, does this bring you joy? You know, like, I think that's true for everything. If I wear something, does this bring me joy? Does this light me up? If it doesn't, don't wear it. You know what I mean? And I think most women are intuitive enough. Like, I've worked with women, we go through their closet, and I'm like, they're wearing something. I'm like, do you like that? They're like, well, I bought it because X, Y, and Z. Do you feel happy in it? No, then get rid of it. You know, I feel like we all intuitively have that sense of like, okay, this doesn't feel good. And it's like you said, it's a really great way to start to exercise your own internal intuition, because we all intuitively know, I didn't really feel quite right in this, but I'm gonna wear it anyway because whatever the reason is. But deep down, you're like, this wasn't it. You know, the idea of wearing clothes that are in alignment with who you are, like you wear it and it's just like smooth. You wear it, you feel good. You feel good in what you're wearing. You feel confident. Your energy's clear. You're living your life. You're a boss. You're working. You're doing your thing. You don't even think twice about, oh, what am I wearing? How do I look? Those things don't even come in your mind because you're so comfortable. Right? Yeah.
And then your mind has time to do more important things.
Exactly. You can sit down and connect with someone. You can have a conversation because you're not entirely worried. Like, oh, like, I feel like I don't really look good today. I mean, it's just, being a woman is really challenging because these are the things that we think about, right? When the president, the first lady and the president, they're never talking about the president's suits. Right. How often they always are talking about what's the first lady wearing? Yeah. It's like, it's insane. It's insane. It's just really like, wow, no one's even unless it's really bad, they don't really talk about men that much in terms of clothing and style.
No, and same on the red carpets. It's like, what are you wearing? Why did you choose that? Who designed it? Which I enjoy information like that. But then the men's questions are like, tell us about the
role and it's always
how you got into the headspace to do this incredible performance. And it's like, I would like to know that from the women as well.
Right. I feel like, why can't they do both? With women, tell me what gown you're wearing, and also how about X, Y, and Z. I think there's nothing wrong with. And women are beautiful. I feel like women's bodies are beautiful. It's just we're more interesting to look at. Our clothing's options, that we just have so much variety. Men don't have as much variety. So even though I love a man in a good suit, I do. Yep. But it's not as interesting as women are. It's just not. At least for me, even as a woman, I'd rather look at women than a bunch of men in clothing.
I feel
I agree.
We all agree.
Yeah.
But I would like to know what else is going on. Like, how are you feeling? Like, I always wonder, I wish I could be on the red carpet and ask these women different questions.
Right.
And also ask them the nitty gritty, like, how did you fit your boobs in there, girl? Like, how
how are they not popping out right now?
Right. How did you get the tape just right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many, like,
can we get a tutorial?
Right. There's so many technical stuff, like that Jennifer Lopez, that famous dress that she wore, that green one. I am still perplexed on how her boobs didn't pop out.
The physics.
It must be some kind of tape. I'm sure it was tape or something. But I was just like, wow.
I know. It is fascinating. I'm laughing because I have a memory of a clip. I think it was Scarlett Johansson where she's in an interview for Black Widow, and the man is like, could you wear underwear with your costume? And she's like, I'm sorry, are you asking the men these types of questions? What an absurd thing to ask me.
Yeah, she's so good at clapping back. If a woman
asked her that, I'd be like, that's fine, we're wondering. But a man asking her that, it's just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those questions I feel like I would ask her not on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was curious too. I'm like, how does she fit into that? Like, how does that work? But I wouldn't ask her that in front of people. That's like such a personal question.
Yeah, she's such a queen at
I love
navigating
her clapbacks. Her clapbacks are so good. She's so good at it. Her and Rihanna have the best clapbacks.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Who said I'm looking for a man?
Yeah, did you see that one? I loved when she said that. She was like, what? Why do I need to look for a man?
Was it Whoopi Goldberg who has the quote of like, I don't want to get married. I don't want a man living in my house. Like it was, I think maybe somebody asked her about marriage and she's like, I don't want a man living in my house. Just love that.
I love the fact that we as women have these choices that we can make in 2022, right? We can make the choice. I don't want to get married. I don't have to have, a husband, because 100 years ago we didn't have this option. Right. We had to be married. In the 70s, we couldn't even open a bank account without a man. It boggles my mind.
Think about that being so long ago, but it
not
wasn't
that long ago.
With so many things. It's just
not that long ago.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate the present moment.
Right. So that's the kind of thing where, when women, we have a lot of growth that needs to happen in this country for sure. But we have a lot to be grateful for, because whenever I watched that show, was it Mad Max or Mad Men? I think it was Mad Men in the 50s.
Mad Men. Mm-hmm.
I was like, thank God I wasn't born back then. Like, that was just, you know, and we still are facing sexism on so many levels, but in a lot of ways, it's so much better than it used to be. So I'm so grateful that I could have the freedom that I have in America, because there's other parts in the world that we don't have this level of freedom.
Absolutely.
And whenever I travel to these parts of the world, I'm like, whew. When I come home, I'm like, America has its problems, but there's a lot of liberties that we have here as women that we just don't have in other countries, that we can be alone, we can live alone. I don't need a man, I could pay my own rent. You know, there's so many things that are just so amazing.
I know sometimes it can be overwhelming to think of how far we have to go in so many ways. Oh my gosh, this needs to get better. This needs to get better. We have all of these problems, but then it is really incredible how much has happened in a short period of time too. So I think that's, you know, a way to ground yourself. Like, okay, but you know what? I have my own bank account and I can, I have my own business. I'm an entrepreneur and I can, you know, do this and that. So it's a way to come back, because I don't know, being a human is pretty overwhelming, but there's a lot of perks.
Exactly.
Every time, he's never going to listen to this, so I could be wrong, but I feel like there have been times when my boyfriend says, wouldn't it be so cool to travel in time back to, like, insert the decade, like the 20s? I'm like, not for me.
No.
Like, no, I know people are like, oh, the good old days, and I'm like, were they
ever good?
For white men, they were good.
For white men, they were
Hey,
just fabulous
white
days.
Men, it was their heyday. I think that's why they're so upset. They're like, people of color, women, that we're all taking over.
They're like, what the? I used to be in charge. What's going on?
Yeah, like, I can't imagine. Like, 100 years ago, we didn't have many options. Either you're a wife, a whore, or
you've already died.
Or you died, right? Like, it literally was like, we had, like, maybe, you know, as time went on, we could become teachers and stuff and nurses, but we never had the opportunities to own our own businesses, like, to have our own credit cards. I mean, when I read these books, I'm just like, I can't even imagine not being able to go to the bank and being like, I want to open up an account. Like, where's your husband? What?
Right.
I don't know. I'm glad my spirit decided to be born in the 80s, because I would have had a hard time. I mean,
I'd like to vote. No vote for you. What? I live here. No vote.
No vote.
Right. I birthed you. You're here because of me.
Right? Well, that's what's so interesting, and I love thinking about why women have been put down, but it's like, I think it's because we are so powerful. We literally create life, so they're like, uh-oh, that's a lot of power. We better make sure we keep that in check in a way, because also our intuitive senses, intuition is so much more powerful than being centered in your logical, rational brain. Obviously, both are important, but, you know, men are more rational, women are more intuitive, and intuition is a superpower. We can do anything with intuition, so it's really interesting.
Women just have a different reason to act. Like, conquering the world isn't that what most women think of. Most women have children. Most women are thinking about their community. They're thinking about how can we make where we're at better. I don't think women have this mindset of let's take over something else, because they usually, with the baby or pregnant, you know, I mean, back in the day when we had how many kids? We were always barefoot and pregnant. So I think it's a different mindset now, because we can think about options now, because most women could choose not to have children. And there's birth control and there's all these other options, but reproductively, women just didn't have that level of freedom to just, I'm just going to go on a boat and go around the world and take over things. Like, you had a baby. And I just don't think women are in that. A lot of women have become patriarchal as we live in a patriarchal society, but I think in general, women are just more community focused.
Yeah.
Like, there's just different mindset. I think the world would be different if it was truly run by women.
Oh, hands down.
My boyfriend and I were actually having this conversation the other day just about, you know, some of the world's richest men, you know, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and how there's just no point in being a billionaire. There's no one needs billions of dollars. And how it's really just a pissing contest to be the richest man in the world. Like, there's no other purpose to want to reach $1 trillion or whatever it is. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, if it was all women on that very top list, how we would be like, I think of like Dolly Parton, like how she gives away so much of her money. And like, I'm just like, man, like if I was making so much money that I was able to reach the level of being a billionaire, I would never allow myself to be a billionaire, because I would just be giving it and giving it and giving it, because there's absolutely no purpose in having that much money. Like, you could solve world hunger, you could, you know, do all of these things, but I feel like with men, and they have this conquering instinct in them for whatever reason, and that's the only reason why they're not doing that, is because they want to have the title of like richest man in the world. And I'm like, I want to be rich, I want to be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, but I want to, you know, buy really nice things for me and have a beautiful, luxurious home. But I also like want to do great things with that money and like solve problems and make other people's lives better. And that's just not first and foremost in men's minds. And that sucks, because they have so much fucking money.
They do. I mean, it's an ego. They're very ego-centric people. They're not living in their heart. I think if you were living in your heart, you would be a completely different human. And people that live in their heart tend not to be billionaires on that level, because I mean, who knows what they do to cut corners to be able to be that rich. I mean, so living in your heart, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's heart-centered people that are billionaires out there. We just don't know them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's the ones that live out in the platforms, the public eye, tend to have big egos, and their egos are kind of running them, which is sad, because Elon Musk and all these, they're great innovators, but you know, and they all have amazing women behind them. Jeff Bezos, his wife left with what, $150 million in the divorce settlement, and she gave most of it away.
It's incredible. I wanted to ask a little bit about, like, because we're talking about self-love and that heart connection, and I think it's sort of one and the same with our intuition, because a lot of times we don't, you know, we say we don't know what we want, we don't know our desires, and when we start tapping into that, I think it ripples out into making us intuitive in all ways in our life. So I was curious if you've seen that in your own life or with clients, and how their intuition has been able to like lead their lives the more they work on self-love.
100%. The more that you open up your heart and the more that you tap into your heart energy, the more intuitive you become, because your heart then starts to guide your movements. And the thing about the heart, it's often a very quiet suggestion. You know, sometimes, you know, you have a big decision, your heart's like, maybe call them tomorrow. And you're like, that's it. And, you know, the mind is like, you should call them today, because if you call them today, then you'll be able to talk to this person and this person and this person, and then this will happen and this will happen, and you have this whole entourage of memories and talk. And it's like, I call it the Johnny Cochran dissertation, where it's just like all of the reasons why you should do something, right? And that's the ego. But your heart will be like, call them tomorrow, and you're like, that's it. One directive, and that voice could be feel so small in comparison to all your ego talk. And so the more that you're like, I'm going to listen to that voice, I said, call them tomorrow, and then you do, and something miraculous happens, and then you're like, oh, my heart was right, I'm going to listen to my heart. And then that voice becomes louder and louder and louder and louder until that becomes who you listen to all the time. And so it's on it, you know, and it changes and shifts. So really it's about, when you open up your heart, that voice gets louder, right? That inner voice gets louder, because now you trust yourself, you love yourself. So you trust yourself, you trust your love that you're providing to the world. And your love says, call them tomorrow. You're like, I'm gonna call them tomorrow. You don't even think twice about it, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what it's just really practicing that commitment. If you are saying to yourself, like, I want to be a loving person, I want to love myself totally, I want to be a good person in the world, then every day you move in that direction, and you just take things as they come, because the thing about the heart, you can't really plan for it. Right. It's in the moment where you're like, oh, am I a loving person or not? Somebody just flipped me off. Okay, like, how do I respond? You know, and it's like choice by choice. Like, it's a choice, and any moment you have a choice to be loving or not. And so you always have to be in that space of surrendering to, like, okay, I want to be a loving person, and what does that look like? And it changes from day to day and moment to moment. So you just kind of have to stay in your heart and allow that flow, allow life to guide you where it needs to guide you. And your mind will always tell you to go in the opposite direction in multiple ways and go left, go right. And, you have to be strong enough to know, I'm not going to listen to that because you're too noisy and you're too crazy. And every time I listen to you, shit happens. So you have to, you kind of have to have those experimental, you have to experience it over and over and over until you realize, okay, I have to listen to my heart, because listening to my heart makes my life actually easier and it makes it better. So then you start trusting that process, and then you're on your way of just being a loving person.
You have a really beautiful gift in simplifying things, like simplifying what self-love means, simplifying. Sometimes we talk a lot about tapping into our intuition. It was actually our episode last week. We can kind of overcomplicate or think intuition is some gift that only some people have. And the way you're describing it's just so simple and so powerful. So that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Should we ask our questions we ask everybody now? Or did you have any other last questions?
I do have one more question. I noticed on your Instagram you talked about how wearing certain colors can radiate certain energies and frequencies. Yeah. I saw something about pink. And so I would like to maybe just a little bullet point color guide would be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. So as I'm an acupuncturist by trade, so I have a very deep understanding of energy and how energy works. And every meridian is connected to a color. And so you want to start thinking about how you can actually affect your health by color. And there's actually color therapy. You can actually go to get therapy on different color vibrations, because every color has a different vibration. So now you want to, if you're looking to heal yourself in a certain way, like you want to feel more, so green is the color of the liver. And the liver energy, the negative side of the liver energy is anger, frustration, just feeling like stressed out. And the positive side of the liver is feeling determined, clear, being very focused, right? So now you're like, okay, I'm having a day. I need to go out and I want to feel focused and clear and strong. You pick a wood color, which is also the liver, which is like a tree. A tree is solid, it's strong. And it's flexible, it grows, it moves, and you want to wear green, right? And if green looks good on you, because green is one of these colors that doesn't look good on everyone. But if green is a color that emulates, and you can, there's different shades of green, right? So if green isn't your color, but there's more blue into it, so you can get into the teal family, right? So then finding that energy of green and how you can stand into that, right? So then that's like, okay, I'm going to feel focused, I want to feel growth, I want to feel successful. Green is a color that I would wear today, kind of thing. Red is always going to be known as passion, fire. It's heart. It's the energy of, Chinese medicine, we call it the Shen, which is a spirit. So red is that energy of like, I want to feel sexy, passionate, alive, right? And of course, there's a variety of different colors of red, right? So bright red doesn't always work with some people, but you can get the purple reds. So you can get into the magenta red. You can get into the pinks. So that whole family of red can be a multitude of different emotions that you're trying to emulate. Of course, white is the energy of metal, the energy of lungs, large intestine, which is the energy of letting go, but it's also the energy of grief, which is interesting. In India, when there's funerals, they often wear white, right? Because white is that energy of letting go, releasing, and also feeling you're pure. You want to feel energetically more pure, you wear white. So this is a day you want to go someplace, you're like, okay, I just want to feel clear, I'm going to wear white, right? So there's different colors that can emulate different things. And of course, within the family of colors, you want to find the color that works well, because white doesn't always work on everyone, like the bright white, but you can wear an ivory. You can wear cream, So different varieties of the colors that work well with your coloring, your skin, your hair, your eyes. So you always want to find a color that emulates, because if you wear the wrong color for your skin, then it's like the opposite effect happens, where your energy and your spirit kind of is dull because you're not wearing the color that brings it out. So it's a little bit of a science around it, and it's also very fun, but there's so much power in wearing the colors that work well for you. And the energy that it carries.
Do you think that when we reach into our closets every morning, we are sort of intuitively or subconsciously picking a color that connects with either like how we're feeling or what we're trying to heal, or You know, like when you
Absolutely.
walk into a crystal store and you're drawn to the crystal, then you look up the meaning and it's exactly what you need. Is it like that with clothes?
Yes, I believe that 100%, because when you're feeling not so great, you know, you're feeling kind of down, you usually tend to pick darker colors, right? You tend to pick the grays and the blacks because you just want to wear something that's simple, you know, don't bother me kind of thing. But when you're feeling kind of fiery, you want to like feel loud and excited, you pick the yellows, the oranges, the reds, you pick the brighter colors. And so yeah, it has a total direct correlation to how you feel or how you want to feel, right? If you are going on a date and you don't feel that great, you wear a red dress, you're gonna feel a little better because you're wearing a bright red dress. So there's something about the dress that can actually bring up your energy to make you more excited about the situation that you're going in. So it can totally be a very, very powerful tool in how you dress to emulate how you feel. So like when I want to feel a certain way, I would wear a specific color. Like if I want to feel playful, I want to feel flirty, then I would wear like magenta, I'd wear purple, I'd wear something that makes me feel, ooh, I'm excited. If I want to feel more serious, I want to feel like I want you to take me seriously, I'm going to wear blue. I'm going to wear something that's like a solid color for me. So there's different colors that can definitely bring out those different energies that you want to portray.
And then I guess my last inquiry is, what is it like to be coached by you? For anybody who's just fallen in love with you this episode, what is that process like? And are you accepting new clients and all of that?
Yeah, I'm accepting new clients, yes. And the process of working with me is me learning who you are and what kind of things that you want to emulate in the world, who you want to be in the world, and how can we bring more love into your life. So I'm always teaching my clients, how can they love themselves more? How can they be their true selves? Because really, when you're totally in love with yourself, you are who your true being is out in the world. And if we're working on your style, then it's about how can we bring the style that best suits who you are to bring out your confidence, your joy, your laughter, your sexiness, your sensuality, pretty much igniting that inner beauty, your inner goddess, your inner queen, like having that be the forefront of who you truly are. So tapping into who you are and letting that shine. And we work through all the things that are limiting. So is it self-limiting thoughts that you're having? Is it a childhood trauma? Is it relationship stuff that you haven't let go? A lot of it is forgiveness work, letting it go, finding ways to love yourself and really finding compassion for yourself, accepting yourself, and finding ways to have more joy and fun in your life.
That sounds amazing.
That last piece is so important. Fun. Like, I feel like we're like here to have some freaking fun. Life can get so serious, but it's like, it's a game, you know, be playful, have fun with it.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like, you know, when you're on this personal development journey of learning how to love yourself and being a better human, it's really painful. A lot of it, you're seeing things about yourself that you didn't really like. And you're seeing these dark aspects of who you are, and the world's heavy and there's a pandemic. And I mean, everything's heavy. And it's like, how can you make yourself lighter? So if that means like I'm going to try to love myself and I'm going to do something for myself, that means I'm going to buy myself a nice little dress, walk outside and say hi to 5 people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how can I be out in the world in a different way to really lift my spirits and bring the laughter and joy that I want to share to the world?
I love that so much. I recently got a new bicycle that I bedazzled with rhinestone butterflies, and that was my
nice.
That was my express myself to the world in a sparkly, fun way.
I love
thing of the week.
That is so fun. That's fun. That's awesome.
So we like to ask everyone that comes on for like do you have a spooky or psychic or sort of like really big spiritual moment that you'd like to share with us? It doesn't have to be like spooky, scary, but maybe like a past life experience or a psychic moment, something, a fun story like that, a ghost story.
A ghost story. I mean, I have so many, but I think the one that always kind of stands out is that my grandmother on my mother's side died when my mom was 7. She was 30 years old when she died. And so I have one picture of her, but I used to dream of her when I was little. And she'd be in my dreams and I'd be like, oh, that's my grandma. And one day a few years ago, a friend of my friend was doing a seance in my house. Like, she's a medium. And I'm like, anyone that does this spiritual woo-woo stuff, I'm like, all right, come, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
And she literally looked at me and was like, who is this woman next to you? And I'm like, what woman? She's like, it's your grandma. She is like pretty much my protector. And I was like, that is so interesting. And I've had multiple people tell me, your grandmother is with you all the time. And that's always been this very comforting of knowing, like, oh, my grandmother's with me. I never got to know her in person, but I have a really strong relationship with her on a spiritual level. Like, I've talked to her. I mean, I don't really get answers, like very clear answers, but something will happen the next day, like a sign. I'm like, oh, okay, I got you, grandma, gotcha. You know what I mean? I get it. Okay, thank you. So I've gotten signs that she points me in the right direction when I ask for guidance. And yeah, so I would say that would be one of the things I would think about, is just like knowing that, it was nice to dream of her and then get that confirmation from different people.
She was visiting you in your dreams. That's so special. I was getting major chills. So I feel like she was like, yeah, hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool. And our other question we like to ask everyone is, what does being a goddess mean to you? Because, of course, we're here on Goddess Hangs. We love the goddess energy. And this whole episode is such goddess energy, talking about self-love. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what being a goddess means.
Being a goddess for me means being totally in love with myself and really shining my light and shining beauty and joy and accepting everything about myself. And it's always going to be a work in progress, but finding that joy within myself, like dressing, adorning myself, like really being super feminine, girly. Like, I was a tomboy when I was young, mostly because I was just kind of pushing away that whole idea of what femininity looked like. And even in my 20s, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I had the struggle of like, what does it mean to be feminine? Because we have this construct of what it means to be a woman and what does it mean to be feminine. And it took me years to figure out, no, I like wearing dresses because I like wearing dresses. It has nothing to do with women being forced to wear dresses for centuries. I just like wearing dresses.
Yeah.
Like, this is like what it is. And so finding my truth in my own femininity and connecting to my own divinity has allowed me to feel like the goddess that I am, because I'm connected to who I am and what kind of woman I want to be and what kind of person I want to be in the world.
I love that.
That felt so good to my heart. I really did. And where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on my website, carinecamara.com, and also I'm on Instagram, mostly Carine J. Camara. I'm also on Facebook and all these other sites, but I'm mostly active on Instagram.
And this was just such a special conversation. I'm like, how do I wrap it up? We'll make sure we put all of your links in the show notes so our listeners can find you. Thank you so, so much for spending this hour with us. It was so special.
You.
I just feel all like warm and fuzzy and like really content.
Me
like
too.
I'm just like really relaxed right now.
Oh, good.
I feel like, it's safe to love and adorn myself. In fact, it's more than safe. It's essential.
It's essential, yeah. Like
So thank you.
having love is like pretty much like having air. Like it's essential to life. And people that don't have enough love never really thrive. Like, we think about babies, if they're not held, newborns, they don't thrive. And I feel like humans are the same way. And that's like, we all need love. Yeah.
We all need love. It's a priority. Well, thank you so, so much. And goddesses, we will see you next week. Oh my gosh, that was an interview like no other.
I felt like I went to the planet Venus and back.
Really?
Love, beauty, amazement. I love her.
I find her presence really calming in a very just like balancing way. When I was listening to her podcast too, I felt the same way. Like, her energy is just very like, it's different. It's like solid. Like, it makes you feel held and it's like grounding and balanced, and you feel really safe to proclaim like, I do love myself. I do feel beautiful. I do love adorning myself. All these things. I just thought that was the coolest conversation.
It makes me excited to do a little intentional shopping in the near future.
Yes.
Maybe go through my closet and be more conscious as I make my choices. Like, what colors are going to show my inner beauty and radiate my light. And I just think that's so fun. The more we can be sort of conscious and intentional about everything and knowing that we're all worthy and deserving of so much self-love, I think that's just a really powerful message.
It is. So before we go, we wanted to remind you that Quantum Goddess is launching, well, now. We're beginning the waitlist now. Mm-hmm. It's very exciting. We are going to be working with a small, intimate group of you goddesses to bring whatever creative project, business, what have you, to life.
It's an amazing 3-month program. You have seen with your own eyes what Sadie and I have manifested in, a year and a few months?
Goddess saying the year in like 1 month, pretty much.
Okay, there you go.
13 months. And we're inviting 13 women to join the program. There you go.
That's the lucky number. What we have done in 13 months is kind of unthinkable. In the most incredible way. We have quantum leaped and we really know how to do it. We know how to teach on it. We know how to guide you and support you through it. And we are so excited to be your 2-on-1 group mentors and do it together. This is our first dual offering, which makes it really excited, and you get double the magic, double the power, double the fun. It's the statement of agreement with Quantum Goddess. It's going to be so amazing. We're going to join you on week 1 with your vision, your idea, your dream, and help you by the end of those 3 months be very clear on your vision and have some amazing things to show for it. Maybe you're going to launch a website. Maybe you're going to launch your product. Maybe you're going to do your first show as an artist or a singer. There's going to be some really beautiful, tangible proof at the end of those 3 months. And your mindset is going to be so sharp and your vibration is going to be so much higher. And you're going to have just so much, like I keep saying the word support, but there's no other way to say it. You're going to be held by us through this process, and then you'll be ready to just hit the ground running.
Yeah, this is for you if you have a project, business idea in mind and you feel like you don't know where to start. It can be really overwhelming when you decide, okay, fuck it, I'm going to create what I want to create. And then you get scared, you get small, and maybe you never end up doing it. So whether you have already begun your project or you're at the beginning of an idea, we are so ready to make you bring this into reality, because whatever it is that you've dreamed up, it is divinely meant for you. It's important for the world to receive it. And we're so excited to be a part of the beautiful impact that you are going to have on the world.
Yes, this is your legacy. This is your moment. And we're so excited to be just a small part of your story. So it's going to be fabulous.
So you can join the waitlist in the show notes. We're so excited to get to know you all more. And I think that wraps up the show.
Thank you so much for listening.
Make sure you're following us on Instagram for all of the updates and fun clips and more. We are at Goddess Hangs. I am Sadie Olson.
I'm at Juliet.Piper.
And you can find all of Carine's information in the show notes. Make sure you give her a follow. To take a listen to her podcast, which I found super inspiring. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.